بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين اللهم علمنا وانفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعلما يقربنا عليك ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. Alhamdulillah, we are on the 10th companion today, inshallah. And today's companion is it's like a true gem. A true hidden gem that says like a pearl in a shell, hidden away. And the virtues of this individual are just amazing. And now this name, Saeed Ibn Aamir, anybody heard of this name? Or who's heard this name before? If most of us, if not all of us, probably don't even know this name. Probably never heard of this name. Or probably asking, who's this? I've never heard of this name before. It doesn't ring a bell. Saeed means happy. This happy individual who was happy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the distinguished companions of RasulAllahﷺ. Not just a normal companion, one of the kibar, one of the distinguished companions who was with the Messenger of Allah ﷺ. Even though his name doesn't ring a bell like the rest of the distinguished companions of Rasulullah ﷺ, but yet he had his own unique lifestyle, his own unique kind of character, his own unique qualities. And as we said, how many companions we've done the 10th one today, and how many we've been through that were true unsung heroes that we think, wow. Miqdad bin Aswad, we just talked about how many people knew that name. And people were just, last week I got a text from brother, he says, I've done so many things in life. He says, wow. He said, that just blew me away. And this is the reality, that all of these companions, they just blow us away. Hidden gems hidden away. And their lives to inspire our lives. So he's one of those gems, one of those hidden gems that's going to truly inspire us today, inshallah. One of the distinguished, hidden, conscious slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as we said before, Sayyidina Miqdad bin Aswad, he said, my love for Rasulullah ﷺ was that my responsibility was his protection. And whenever he called for a war, I picked up everything and just ran towards his house. And my responsibility towards Islam, or my love for Islam, is my responsibility towards Islam. What kind of image am I portraying outside when I walk outside of Islam? So this is why all of the companions, their responsibility to Rasulullah ﷺ, that they were right beside him. But this distinguished companion was right beside Rasulullah ﷺ in all of the battles, all the expeditions. And like all the rest of the Muslims, never got left behind from Rasulullah ﷺ. This is somebody who became Muslim at the Fatih Khaybar, or just before the conquering of Khaybar. And they say since he embraced Islam, he took his pledge with Rasulullah ﷺ. So he gave his life, he gave his existence, gave his destiny all to Islam. And this is how they were, the companions. That when they came into Islam, they just gave it everything they had. They were not shying away, they were not sitting on the sides, on the fence. But they were just all the way. Wherever it has to come, it has to come. They say he was a man of obedience, asceticism, man of piety, of this conscience. They say all of the virtues that you could look for a person, in a person of a great person, they said you could find all of them in this man. They say as we head to meet this great individual, that's this hidden gem that we don't know about, that we never heard of before. He said, know that sometimes the outer appearance can delude a person. You might think something, you might see somebody on an outer appearance, physical appearance, and you might have a certain opinion. But yet there might be something else going on inside. So they say that you have to be careful that your friends and the people that you take from. Are the people that are taking us towards Allah, or the people that will take us away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So don't be fooled by the outer appearance. He says, if your eye fell on this individual in a group or in a crowd, he said there's nothing that would stand out, that you would see, that would stand him out from the crowd. He says there was nothing striking about him in his physical appearance. It was dusty hair, disheveled. His clothes were not, didn't stand out. His physical appearance didn't really stand out. He wasn't one of the great and handsome men. And if you looked at him in a crowd, he'd just be like any other faqir, any other poor person from the fuqara, the Muslims. So his outer appearance, his clothing gave nothing away. And if you are people who judge people on their outer appearance, then you would just walk by this person. You'll just walk right past this person thinking, he's just a normal individual. He said, you will not find this gem. But he said, the greatness of this man, the greatness of his conscience, it says it resembles, it says, you see a pearl is hidden in a shell in the ocean. He said, this is how this man is. You have to go find it. You have to go find that shell and take that pearl out of it. He said, this is how this individual was. The story starts, he says, when Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala an, when he removes Sayyidina Muawiyah from the governorship of Sham, Syria today, he looks around him to look for a substitute, somebody to take that position. Now the standard of Umar radiallahu ta'ala an in choosing his governors or his associates was a standard that went to the extreme level of caution, that would take into consideration everything before he made that decision. He says, why? He says, why? Because he believed that any wrong done by that person that he appoints, even it could be on the other side of the world, he says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask two people. He will ask Umar first, because he appointed him. Then he will ask the person who made the mistake. This was the taqwa or the piety of Sayyidina Umar. This was his cautiousness or his fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in appointing somebody. So we say that Umar is to appoint somebody, we say that Umar is to give a position to somebody, then that speaks volumes. We said this many times before. And this is Sham at this time was a great civilization. Life in Sham was well before Islam, by many centuries. Islam, if you look at Sham, if you look at Syria today, you see the Syrians, the ginger, they look like white people. And you see some are slightly different. Because Syria has always been a passing place. That people, the Romans and everyone just passed, this was a place that they passed by. This is why you see that these people, they've got different kind of features. So Syria was a place where many civilizations passed through. And at this point, at this time, it was the focal point of trade. And along with that trade came what? Many luxuries of the world. Because it was a place of wealth, place of trade. So many different people, wealthy people will come and make their money. So a place where there's many luxuries. So you can buy many things. But at the same time, it's a place of great temptation. Because the greater the availability, the greater the temptation. We live in the society today, the greater the availability that you have, the greater the temptation to go towards it. You live in a country somewhere where you don't have much, the lesser the temptation, the lesser the test. So we live right in the peak of it. That we've got right in front, everything's right before us. We want to take it, we can take it. We want to leave it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a great reward waiting in return. Because it's right before us, we can take it if we want it. And there are people around the world that want so many of these things, but they don't have the resources, or they don't have it right before them. Whereas we have everything right before us. Step out of our house and everything is there. The opportunity is there to take what we want. But that's a decision we make, whether we want to take that or not. And if you decide not to take it, then Allah will reward us. So this was a place of great temptation. Not just, because when there's great luxury, there's great temptation. So Sayyidina Umar realized, his opinion was that the only person that can survive in this place has to be somebody who flees from the deluding of the shaitan, the temptations of the shaitan. Somebody who stand firm, somebody who's a zahid, somebody who's an ascetic, who's not interested in these worldly things. Somebody who's an abid, somebody who's a worshipper of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is so connected with Allah, that these things around him have no effect on him. Somebody who's content, somebody who's a repentant individual. So he was looking for that perfect individual to appoint in this place of temptation. Sayyidina Umar cries out, I found him. He says, bring me Saeed Ibn Aamir. He says, Saeed Ibn Aamir spoke to Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala an. He says to him, I'm giving you the wilaya, I'm giving you the governorship of Hims in Syria. But Sayyidina Saeed radiallahu, being a person of this conscience, being a person of this level of piety, he says, don't put me in this trial, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says, I don't want it. He says, I don't want to be tempted with this. He says, I don't want to be part of this. So Umar cries out, he says, Wallahi, he says, I swear by Allah, I'm not going to let you go. I'm not going to let you go that easy. He says, you put your amana, your trust in me, on my shoulders. You put the khilafah on my neck. And then you leave me on my own and say you're not going to take any responsibility. I'm not going to let you do that. He said these words, as though they rang a bell. He says, instantly he understood exactly where Sayyidina Umar was going. Even though he was a man of such piety and such conscience, and realized that this was going to be a great temptation, he realized his responsibility. But on top of that, Sayyidina Umar realized that if a person, an example like Saeed Ibn Aamir, is not going to take this position, then where am I going to find people that will help me to follow the ruling in this way? That will help me pass the ruling or rule the Muslim world in this way. If I don't have these people that I'm content that I put Saeed Ibn Aamir there. I've got nothing to worry about. I've got nothing to worry about before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I've got nothing to worry that he's going to do anything wrong. So Umar realized that if people find out that people are Saeed Ibn Aamir don't want to take it, then nobody's going to come forward. So he realized that he has to, so when he said those words, he realized that I can't leave Sayyidina Umar on his own. I can't put this responsibility on his shoulders and walk away, because Allah's going to ask me. So he didn't take it for the pleasure, he didn't take it for the luxury, he didn't take it for the title, he took it because it was a responsibility on his shoulders. So he takes the responsibility, he leaves to him and his wife, just newlywed, just got married. And Sayyidina Umar gives him a good sum of money and he says, go and set yourself up. Allahu Akbar. He says, as he gets to Hims, his wife realizes that Sayyidina Umar has given a good amount of money to Sayyidina Sa'id. So she says to him, she says, buy these kind of clothes, buy this, buy all the provisions, buy all the furniture, right? And buy all the things for the home. And then whatever's money's left, we'll save that for afterwards. So she's preparing the whole home. So remember, the woman, she's the queen of the home. Right? So she decides what goes on in the home, right? In terms of moving things around. So Sayyidina Sa'id says, he said, I've got a better idea. He says, shall I not tell you something which is much greater? He says, we're in the land of trade, or profitable trade. We're in a place where the markets are bursting. He says, should we not give this money to a trader that we could increase. She says, what if we lose the money? So Sayyidina says, no, I'll make sure, I'll take a guarantee for it. So she says, okay then, let's invest it. Sayyidina Saeed goes and he buys the necessities for the home. And what does he do? The rest of the money he gives to the fuqara and the needy.
Allah.
What was he talking about, the trade? What was he talking about? That there's a profitable trade? This is what he was talking about, that I can't make a loss in this. That I give it to the poor and the needy in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's 100% return for that. So there's no loss in this. So I've taken a guarantee, I've got it stamped. Now his wife doesn't know that. So he says, some days pass, and his wife every so often she says, so what's happening about that money that we've invested? How much profit have we made? So he keeps answering and he keeps saying, no, it's a profitable trade. We've got a lot to come in return. It keeps increasing. So one day his wife asks him, and one of his cousins is there, and he knows exactly what he's done. So when he says the same answer, so he starts smiling. Then he starts laughing, he can't control himself. So his wife gets a bit suspicious. She says, what's going on? She gets doubts, something's not right here. So she urges him to tell her what's happened. So he tells her, he says, this money went long time ago. He said, right, as soon as this long time ago when we came, he gave it all away. So when she hears, she starts crying. And she feels that loss, that money that we could have used to buy certain things, it's all gone. And we don't have any money left. So Sayyidina Saeed looks at her and her eyes are filled with tears. And before he could get weak, he turns his sight towards Jannah. And he sees his companions, those foremost companions, those early ones who passed before him. And he said, لَقَدْ كَانَ لِي أَصْحَابٌ سَبَقُونِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. He says, I had companions who's preceded me to Allah, who've gone before me to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا أُحِبُّ, he says, and Harifa, he says, I don't want to be deluded from their path. Even if the whole dunya and whatever's in it was given to me, I'm not going to turn away from their path. I have to stay firm on their path. So he reminds himself. He said, then his wife, as she hears it, she goes into this peaceful mode. And she realized that the best way is the way of Saeed. That this is the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That this is the best way, that this sacrifice being made, the reward for it in return is going to be much greater. Even though it's got hardships, it's got difficulties with asceticism, and being on that level of taqwa. An ascetic is a person who's not interested in the worldly things. So even though this path is difficult, but this is the path that's going to get us to that elevated state. So she realized, she accepted that this is the right way. To say Hims at that time was known to be Kufa Thaniya. If you remember, we talked to one of the companions before that when he went to Kufa, what did they do? They rebelled against him. Rebellion against him and stood up against him. So this Sham at that time, or Hims at that time, referred to as the Kufa Thaniya, because of the same attribute that people had this tendency to rebel against their governors, to stand up against them. And even though Kufa was in Iraq, he said this, you could find the traits here. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided the hearts of the people towards these righteous slaves. Even though they were rebellious and they were fired up quickly against the governors, he says, for some reason their hearts turned towards Saeed Ibn Aamir. Allah guided their heart to this righteous slave of his. And they loved him, they obeyed him. So Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu asked him, he says, In Ahl Sham yuhibbunaka. He said, the people of Sham, they love you. So he says, why? He says, why is that? He says, because I listen to them and I help them and I'm in their service. But regardless of how, you're always going to have pockets of rebellion, you can have pockets, you can't please everybody. So you can have pockets of rebellion, you can have pockets of complaint. So he says, one day Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala an, he went to visit Hims. That's what he would do. He brought us out the blue, he would go and to see what his governor is doing, that the people has appointed, and how the people, are they happy with him. So he goes to Hims, and the people gather together, and he says, what do you say about Saeed? What do you say about him? What's your opinion of him? Or have you got any complaints regarding him? So some people, a group came forward and started complaining. But this was actually a blessed complaint, which we're going to explain now. This actually became a blessing. So he says, so the group sent the Umar, he says to them, he says, okay, he says, all of you come forward one by one, bring your complaints. So what they did was they appointed one individual to speak on their behalf. So he came forward and he said, we have 4 complaints. 4 complaints against him. He says, first one, he never comes out till after sunrise, when the sun has risen quite high, it's gone hot. He said, the second complaint, he doesn't answer our call at night. The third complaint, he said 2 days in a month, he disappears from us. We don't see him in the daytime. And he says, for the last one, even though he has no control over it, every so often he faints. He falls unconscious. So then the man sat down. Said Umar, he paused for a while. Makes a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, oh Allah, he says, I know this is one of your best slaves. He says, oh Allah, I know that this is one of your best slaves. Allah, don't disappoint me in my opinion of him. So he calls Sayyidina Saeed to defend himself. So he says, what have you got to say? These are complaints of people regarding you, the governor. So he says, as for the first one, when they say that I don't come out to them until after sunrise, when it's gone quite hot, the sun has risen quite high. He says, even though I dislike to disclose it, but I have to defend myself and I have to tell you as to what the reason is. Allahu Akbar. Now, talking about governor here, right, who's got a healthy, well, supposedly we're going to come speak about that, who gets a healthy wage. He says, as for the first one, I don't come out to them till well after sunrise. He says, I don't have a servant. That time probably everybody had a servant. So he probably can't afford one. Let me tell you why. He says, I don't have a servant, so what I do is I knead the dough. Knead the dough like doing the atta. Then I leave it to rise. And then after it is risen, then I make the bread, prepare for the day. Then after that I make wudu and I pray Salatul Duha. And that is just after sunrise, a while after sunrise. He says, after I've done all of that, then I come out to them. So this is the first reason why I don't come out to them early in the morning. Because I don't have a servant to do my work, so I do this is the governor. I do the work myself, knead the dough, wait for it to rise, make the khubz, make the roti, and then I make wudu and pray Salatul Duha, then I come out to them. He said the face of Sayyidina Umar just brightened. He said, Alhamdulillah. He says, Alhamdulillah. He says, what about the second one? So Sayyidina Saeed continues. He says, as for the second one, they say that I don't answer anybody at night time. He says, for Wallahi, he says, again, I dislike to disclose it, but I have to defend myself. He says, I've sacrificed my day for them. So I'm at that service. I'm at their service during the day. He says, as for the night, I've given it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So at night, I don't answer their call because I'm in the worship and the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, as for the third one, they said that in a month, 2 days in a month, I disappear. I don't come out to them. This is the governor. He says, I don't have any servants to wash my clothes. And he says, I only have one garment. I don't have another one to change it. So what I do is I wash my garment, so twice a month. Right? So he says, the 2 days I disappear, he says, I wash my garment and then I wait for it to dry. And then when it's dry towards the end of the day, then I come out to them. That's why they see me disappear 2 days. It's a total gem. This is a true gem. He says, as for the last one, when you say that every so often he faints, he says, I saw the killing of Khubayb al-Ansari in Makkah. We're going to talk about him. Khubayb, great companion of the Prophet ﷺ. He says, as I saw the killing of Khubayb al-Ansari in Makkah, and I saw them cutting him into pieces. They were cutting him into pieces. And you know what they were saying to him when they were cutting him into pieces? And they said they put him on a kind of crucified him. They cut him into pieces, put him on a kind of crucified him, hung him up. And they said they were saying to him, and they were cutting him into pieces, they were saying, أَتُحِبُّ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا مَكَانَكَ وَأَنْتَ سَلِيمٌ وَعَافَى. He says, would you want Muhammad to be in your place now and you're safe and sound? And he says, I heard him answer saying, Wallahi, I swear by Allah, I would not want to be with my family and children in the bounties or the luxuries of this life, and even a thorn were to strike Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They cut him to pieces. And this is his reply. And he says, I would never want Rasul to be, let alone here, I would not want him to be even a thorn to strike him. And I'm happy and enjoying my life amongst my family. He says, فَكُلَّمَا ذَكَرْتُ ذَلِكَ الْمَشْهَدِ, he says, every time I recall that scene which I saw, and he says, at that time I was a mushrik, I wasn't a Muslim. He said, then every time I recall that, then I remember, I think to myself, I didn't help him, I didn't save him. I remember he wasn't even a Muslim at that time. He says, I didn't help him on that day, I didn't save him on that day. So he says, every time I think of this, out of fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the punishment of Allah, that Allah might punish me, he says, I panic and I shiver and I shake and I just faint. And he said this, and so this is the fourth one, that I go unconscious because of this fear that just enters my mind.
Allah.
This is the words of Saeed. He stops there after this, saying this last one. He says, as his lips filled with his tears, they stop. He said that Umar radiallahu ta'ala can't hold himself in anymore. Out of his joy, he says, Alhamdulillah alladhi, he says, all praise be to Allah, who the opinion I had of him, he kept that opinion. That's what, that I had this opinion that he's of this is the kind of quality he has, and he proved to me that this is the qualities he has. Say, Anaka Saeed, he said Umar, he hugged Sayyidina Saeed and he kissed him on his forehead. He says, what kind of share of guidance from the creation of Allah was given to these people? Were these people human beings? Did they not live like us? Did they not walk and talk like us? But look at the standard that they set for us.
Allah.
Look at the role models they are.
Subhanallah.
That they set a standard for us so high that even though you can't reach that, we can try. If our intention is right, even though we live another 40, 50 years and we don't make it, maybe Allah will give us a reward for that intention. He says, what kind of teacher was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? What kind of impact did he leave on these people? Look what he did to these people. These are normal people living in paganistic society, living in jahiliyyah and ignorance. Look what he did to them, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Made them shining stars. He said, what kind of nur did the Quran, the book of Allah, bring? That enter their hearts in such a way, had such an impact on their lives. He says, where are we today? Where do we? Is our teacher not Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Is our book not the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran? He says, what kind of school was Islam. How have we been schooled? Are we been schooled by Islam, by the teachings of Islam? He said, وَلَكِنْ هَلْ يَسْتَطِيعُ, he says, is the earth able to carry upon it men like this? Can the earth be filled with men like this to walk on it? He says, if that was the case, then no longer would you call it earth, you would call it Firdaus. Allah. But this has become Jannah. If people like that can walk on the earth, then this has become Jannah. He said, Jannah is promised. Jannah has not come. So وَلَمَّا كَانَ الْفِرْدَوْسُ لَمْ يَأْتِ, he says, even the time of Firdaus has not come yet. فَإِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَمُرُّونَ بِالْحَيَاةِ, it says the people who pass by life on this earth in this way, they're very rare, very few. That you will find that people that live life like this even today. They say Saeed Ibn Aamir was one of them. They say his wage was healthy, he had a healthy wage. وَلَكِنَّ يَأْخُذُ, he says he would take from it, only that would be sufficient for him and his wife. And what would he do? The rest of it he would distribute to the fuqara. One day it was said to him, he said, why do you spend on your family and your relatives? Why you keep all your money out? So he answered him, he says, why would I only spend, why only my family and relatives? Allah, he says, I'm not gonna sell the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for my relatives. They say he would always say, it would always be said to him, he says, what? Spend upon yourself and spend upon your family. And take the luxuries of this life, enjoy the luxuries of this life. He would answer them always, and always repeat these words. He says, Ma'ana, he says, I'm not going to be left behind from those great people that went before me. He says, Ba'da, he says, after, and Sami'tu RasulAllahﷺ yaqul, he says, after I heard the Messenger of Allah saying, Yajma Allah Azza wa Jalla an-nas bil hisab, people will gather people on the day of judgment for reckoning. فَجِيُّ فُقَرَاء الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, he said the fuqara, the poor of the Muslims will come like a procession. They will come heading forward. And it will be said to them, stop for hisab. Stop for the reckoning. And they would say, we didn't have anything. What reckoning do we give? We never had anything, we were poor. فَيَقُولُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, صَدَقَ عِبَادِي, he says, my slaves have spoken the truth. فَيَدْخُلُونَ الْجَنَّةِ, they will enter Jannah before everybody else. They say in the 20th year of Hijrah, Saeed meets his Lord, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. This pure record, Allahu Akbar. His pious heart, and what a history he leaves behind. He says he's yearning to be with those earlier Muslims. Because remember, we have to picture this. The Muslims who came after and the Muslims that were with Rasulullah, there's a comparison between them. Because they had seen everything with their own eyes. They had lived that life with Rasulullah and the companions. Nothing could move them. No luxury of the earth could move them from their position. Because their focus was clear. Their life spent physically with Allah's Rasul and those great companions were their examples. So they say for a long time he was yearning for those earlier Muslims. That he says he had vowed his life to protect the pledge that he gave to Rasulullah and he had vowed to follow in the footsteps of those earlier Muslims. He says he yearned to be with Rasulullah, his teacher, and his comrades, his brothers before him. He said today was the day to meet them. The day he leaves with the coolness of his eyes, his soul is tranquil. Irji'i ila rabbika radiyatan mardiyya. The ayah the Quran says, return to your Lord pleased. Allah. He said, Laysa ma'ahu, he says he didn't have nothing with him of the dunya. Like we're not going to take nothing with us. We can have all the money in this world, all the luxuries of this life. None of it is going to go with us. The only thing that's going to go with us is the good that we've done. He had nothing with him and never left nothing behind as well of the dunya. He said the only thing he had with him, so in other words, carried no burden of the dunya. The only thing that he took with him was his piety, was his doing without the dunya, was his conscience, and was this awesome self that he had, this path that he had treaded on. That's all he had to take with him. He says this virtues what that will make the scale heavy on the day of judgment. Nothing to lighten it, but only heavy. He says, Salamun ala Saeed Ibn Aamir. He says, peace be upon you, Saeed Ibn Aamir. Salam, peace be upon your life and on your akhirah. Peace and then peace again on this great life. Salamun, O great noble individual, companion of RasulAllahﷺ. And this is Saeed Ibn Aamir. This was the hidden gem that I mentioned right at the start. A name that we've never heard before. A name that could be mentioned before us and wouldn't ring a bell. But a truly hidden gem. Like that pearl in that shell. Now next companion, radiallahu ta'ala an, obviously we don't have time. Inshallah we're going to go into next week. Is the line of Allah. And the line of His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is what is referred to. Is referred to the line of Allah and line of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Who was he? Sayyidina Hamza. Allah. Radiallahu ta'ala. We refer to Sayyidina Ali as lion. Yes, he was. But Sayyidina Hamza was given the title line of Allah and the line of His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sayyidina Hamza, the uncle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But at the same time, they grew up, they were similar age. Grew up together, spent their childhood together, grew up together, played together. And in the youth, as they got to the age of youth, coming together, knowing each other like the shining sun. So they took the different paths. The Prophet took a path of seclusion, a path of elevation and the inner spiritual state, preparing himself for what? For the revelation that was going to come to him. But say that Hamza took his position amongst the elite and the leaders of the Quraysh. But even through this, never forgot what the Prophet was all about, because he had spent his life with him growing up. Knew him exactly how he was. No matter what anybody else said, he had all of the memories because his time was spent with him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So inshallah Sayyidina Hamza radiallahu ta'ala next week is quite a long one, about 10 pages. I doubt it we're going to get through all of it, but we'll try to get through as much as we can inshallah, hopefully. And the companion after that, Allahu Akbar, Sayyidina Abdullah bin Masud. Inshallah. So hopefully inshallah Allah willing, Allah give us tawfiq to continue from there next week. And shall I keep trying? I know it gets difficult, and I know the shaitan puts all the hurdles, all the jobs come up on a Saturday, all of the important things come up on Saturday, everything just happens on a Saturday. I know. That's really the shaitan doing it. And as long as I always say to people, and I've experienced this, once you get into a rhythm of something, then it becomes robotic. What happens after a while, it becomes robotic that you don't even think about it, you're just like aeroplane mode. Straight to Mustafa Center, without even thinking. And that's the way we should be. Like get into a rhythm, into a routine that it doesn't occur to you anymore. That this, and I've seen this. Alhamdulillah, I've been teaching for many years. Alhamdulillah, and I've seen people, and I've seen how people just automatically. But then what happens as soon as you get a gap, that's when it starts all crumbling. And that's why I keep saying, if for some reason you have to miss a week, you shouldn't miss a week. But for some reason, if it happens, don't miss the second week, because then that's too much of a gap. Then that's it. After that, it's just all downhill. Then you're going to be struggling with yourself to come back. So inshallah, may Allah give us tawfiq, inshallah. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammad abdika wa rasulika nabiyil ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Kareem, Ya Rabb, taqabbal minna innaka antas samiul alim wa tub alayna innaka antat tawwabur rahim. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك ولا تجعلنا يا مولانا الغافلين. احفظنا من كل بلاء الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة، شر الشيطان وشر الناس برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. يا مقلب القلوب الأبصار ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. يا مصرف القلوب صرف قلوبنا على طاعتك يا رب العالمين. Ya Allah, we ask you for your mercy and forgiveness, Ya Rahman. We ask you to forgive us for all our wrongs, all our mistakes, all our weaknesses, all that we do knowingly, unknowingly, hiddenly, openly. You know our weaknesses, you know our states, you know our downfalls, Ya Rahman. We ask you for your mercy. We ask you for your favor, Ya Rabbal Alamin. We ask you for himma. We ask you for tawfiq. We ask you for strength, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Help us to overcome those weaknesses. Help us to change our lives and help us to get strong in our deen, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Save us from the fitna, from the evils that surround us, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Increase our iman. Fill our hearts with your nur in such a way, Ya Rahman, that these things around us have no effect upon us. Can do nothing to us, Ya Rabbal Alamin. We ask you for your mercy, Ya Rahman. Forgive us for our shortcomings. Forgive us for our wrongs. Forgive us for our mistakes, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Give us strength to rectify our lives, to become your true slaves, Ya Rabbal Alamin. And help us, Ya Allah, to follow in the footsteps of these great companions of RasulAllahﷺ. We ask you whatever good intentions we have in our hearts to bless our intentions. Whoever is ill here, اشفي مرضانا يا شافي الأمراض. يقضي حاجاتنا يا قاضي الحاجات. اسأل أمورنا يا ساحل. Ya Allah, fulfill our needs, all our needs of the dunya and the akhirah. Make our matters easy for us, Ya Rabbal Alamin. استرنا يا ستار فوق الأرض وتحت الأرض ويوم أرض إليك. Cover our sins in the dunya. Cover our sins in the grave. Cover our sins on the day when we stand before you, Ya Rabbal Alamin. We ask you for your mercy every step we take to be here, every moment we spend here, and every step we take to get back home, Ya Rahman. Make it full of blessings, full of barakah. Ya Allah, make it full of forgiveness and elevation and closeness to you, Ya Rabbal Alamin. We ask you for your mercy, Ya Rahman. We ask you for himma. Give us sincerity in everything we do, only for your rida, only to please you, Ya Rabbal Alamin. For no other reason, Ya Rahman. Make us sincere, fill our hearts with your nur, Ya Rabbal Alamin. We ask you for your mercy for our parents if they're alive. Help us to honor them and serve them and earn Jannah through them, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Help us to appreciate the favor we have before us. Ya Allah, we ask you to help us to acknowledge them and help us to realize them. Ya Allah, to serve them at each stage and not to disappoint them at any time, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Ya Allah, help us to honor them and earn Jannah through them. They're our key to Jannah, Ya Rabbal Alamin. We ask you for your mercy for them. Make their matters easy for them. Guide them to that which pleases you, Ya Rahman. We ask you for our parents, those from our family members, those from the Ummah of RasulAllahﷺ who left this dunya with iman. We ask you to shower your mercy upon the graves. May the graves from the gardens of paradise. May the graves vast and spacious. Make the graves easy for them, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Forgive them of their wrongs or their mistakes and accept from them the good that they did in their life, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Ya Allah, use us for good and make us a sadaqah jariyah for them, Ya Allah, to help them in the grave, Ya Rabbal Alamin. We ask you for your mercy for our children. Guide them and protect them. Give them love for you and love for Rasulullah. Save them from the filth and the evil of this society, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Give them iman, give them taqwa, give them piety, Ya Rabbal. Give them love for you, love for your Rasul, love for the Quran, love for this deen, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Save them from the evils that surround them, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Give them health, give them iman. We ask you for your mercy for the Ummah of Rasulullah and all those Muslims who are suffering around the world, to make it easy for them, Ya Rabbal Alamin, and to give them reward for the hardship and the difficulty that they're going through. Make a special dua for a young man who's just passed away today, 41 years old. Ya Allah, we ask you to shower your mercy upon him. Ya Allah, we ask you to forgive him of his wrongs. Ya Allah, this long, painful illness that he's gone through, Ya Allah, make it a kafara for him. Make it a way of forgiveness for him. Make his akhirah easy for him. Make him, Ya Allah, make his grave easy for him. Make his recognition of Rasulullah easy for him. Make his questioning in the grave easy for them, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Make each stage for him in the akhirah, in the barzakh, easy for them, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Ya Allah, we ask you for your mercy for all of us. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Sayyidina Muhammad عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. To apologize, we know a few minutes today.